You have entered into the dimension of one wise sage in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dun 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 dun. 1. Dun 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 dun. Why? Dun 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 dun. Sage. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. 1. Dun 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 dun. Why? Dun dun dun. Sage. Dun 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 dun. Look down further for the place to be. Tarot, divination, spirituality. Don't need your admiration or your industry. I'm one. So people gather around for this hype and tea. I welcome on to this divine community to elevate your soul and your reality. I'm one.
Okay, greetings and salutations, you guys. This is your girl Sage, aka Sage the Urban Witch, and I am on for part 2 of the channel message / tarot reading on Miss Shirley's life. Okay, so I left off, you guys, on the parts where Miss Shirley had recognized at this point in time that she was definitely a targeted individual. So we're going to continue from there. Okay. So now when the targeting began to amp up as the higher ups were sending the message that they no longer wanted Miss Shirley working with the homeless population on Skid Row, this is when she actually, picked up and gathered all her stuff and she moved to Las Vegas. Okay. Now Spirit says that the higher ups sent a harsh message then to Miss Shirley to stop with her activism and her advocacy when she was poisoned and lost consciousness for 3 days. But the energy that I'm feeling is that, because Miss Shirley was so focus driven on her purpose with, helping the homeless population, she had found her people, so to speak. She had found a purpose. She found her purpose out of her pain. Okay. Because she was so, focus driven on that and, trying to come to terms with the horror of the incident that, she had been poisoned and that there was people that actually, wanted her dead. She did not put 2 and 2 together, unfortunately, to realize how serious this incident was and that this was a direct hit on her life. Okay. Yeah. Now, when I asked Spirit if Miss Shirley, this is a trigger warning, y'all. So trigger warning. Okay. And again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. I'm just a witch talking my shit. Okay. Now, when I asked Spirit if Miss Shirley was violated in those 3 days, Spirit says yes. Okay. Unfortunately, Miss Shirley was sex trafficked for 3 days in her home. While she was repeatedly sedated with heavy drugs. Okay. Because if you drug just one time, you're going to eventually wake up. You're going to wake up within 3 days. But that particular type of drug that was given to her, it had to be given to her repeatedly to keep her like knocked out, like in a like almost like a comatose deep sleep type of state. Okay. And Spirit says that her pills or her medication that she took for her anxiety, which was, I believe it was Prozac. It was switched with Rohypnol. The street term or the street name for Rohypnol is roofies, which is also known as the date rape drug. Okay. Someone that was close to her, y'all, was able to switch out her anxiety pills for the roofie pills. That's this white pill that the media made such a big to-do about, that was left, that one white pill that was left on her bed on the day that they found her unalived. Okay? Allegedly. Now, Spirit says that, Miss Shirley was not always taking the pharmacy brand Prozac. Okay? Before she had stopped taking this prescription drug altogether, and started using medicinal marijuana in order to manage her panic attacks and anxiety. She had switched to like some type of generic brand, some type of alternative, which is a small white pill that looks similar to the off-brand illegal Rohypnol. That is also a small white pill, because the on-brand Rohypnol, I think, is a different color. I think it's blue, and so that if an asshole tries to put it in your drink, it'll turn your drink blue if you drinking like clear alcohol or something like that. So, you know, the new brand Rohypnol is blue, but the off-brand, the street brand is still that illegal small white pill. Okay. And Spirit says also too, when I was asking about this whole drugging situation, this is almost kind of hard for me to say, y'all. Anyway, when I had also asked Spirit, you know, what was going on with this whole Prozac situation, and because Spirit was saying that Miss Shirley wasn't always on Prozac, okay, and that she had switched to the generic brand for many reasons. For one, she was trying to switch to a brand because of the cost. For two, she was interested in switching brands, the Prozac brand to a generic brand, because she didn't like the side effects that she was dealing with, which was largely her feeling very lethargic, and also, you know, causing her weight to fluctuate and go up and down and up and down. So she didn't like the fact that she was gaining weight and she couldn't really control that. She didn't like the way that she was feeling, like the lethargic feeling of it all. Okay. So that was one of the reasons why she went from switching from the name brand Prozac to an off generic brand, and then altogether getting off of it and just, you know, trying to manage her anxiety and panic attacks with medicinal marijuana. So that whole thing. But there was someone that was close enough to her to know this. That's the thing that's so diabolical about it. It wasn't mere strangers. It was people that was up close and personal, close enough to Miss Shirley to do what they did. Okay. So Spirit says that, you know, Miss Shirley, she was given the Rohypnol to repeatedly. She was given this drug repeatedly, I'm hearing from Spirit, to prevent her from waking up during the 3-day assault, in which Spirit says that someone she used to know, someone that she used to be intimate with. I keep seeing X. That person, and then there were other males from the streets, you know, like hired flunkies. Like, I'll give you money for drugs, or I'll give you a few dollars. I'll, you know, pay your rent for a month or two. I'll do this and I'll do that. You know, like one of those from the street type of people. And also those whom were government and CIA affiliated were involved in Miss Shirley's 3-day assaults when she was drugged in her home. And Spirit says that these assaults, they were filmed, y'all. They were filmed and documented, and that some of those recordings are in the possession of the higher-ups, and the other recordings are located on the dark web behind a paywall for the global elites, allegedly. Because when they do something like this, when they take out someone that they consider to be a threat, someone that was on the watch list, you know, someone that was considered to be, you know, a quote unquote black nationalist, or someone that was a threat to, almost, someone labeled as like a terrorist, like a domestic terrorist on one of those type of lists. When you neutralize such a person, they gonna have some type of documentation of that. They do it to all of, every last so-called black leader. Spirit says it was recorded. There is some documentation of that, and they were on some type of list, watch list, okay? From Dr. King, Malcolm X, we could go on and on and on. this is how they operate, allegedly. And Spirit says that this is a large cover-up, you guys, and that, you know, her adult children, her remaining adult children, and her relatives, and those that love her, those that champion her cause with her, they have all been quote unquote silenced and frightened and threatened from speaking out and, you know, asking for justice to be, you know, brought about, asking and demanding for an investigation on her death to be conducted. All of them have been silenced, pressured, threatened. And I'm hearing from Spirit, many of them, as quiet as it's kept, they've been given some kind of payout to remain silent. And Spirit says that, you know, they are all on the watch list too. Okay. And not only are they all on the watch list, but Spirit says many of them, they have been warned to let Miss Shirley's advocacy and her activism for the homeless, they've been pretty much, you know, pulled to the side and say like, hey, we gonna let this activism for the homeless population, yeah, we gonna let this go. We gonna let this die with Miss Shirley. So they pretty much made it clear that, you know, as far as they're concerned, as far as the powers that be are concerned, there would be no continuing of the legacy of the beauty to the streets. There will be no more, you know, honoring Miss Shirley's legacy in that type of way where they're, you know, hands on, you know, boots on the ground, if you will, helping out the homelessness in honor of Miss Shirley's legacy. You know, they made it clear would be no more of that. And, you know, they are afraid for their lives, and rightfully so, because we see what can happen. We see how, you know, such a very beautiful soul, a beautiful, bright spirit, okay, that can do so much with so little, how, you know, their life is reduced to, you know, a big shroud of mystery and is swept under the rug, and nothing else is said about it. Nothing else is done about it. And those that love her, those that relied on her, you know, silenced. You know, a big comma left instead of a period or a question mark. Okay, it's very unsettling and it's very unfortunate. And so, yeah, you know, rightfully so, you guys. Those that love her, those that were part of her Beauty to the Streets organization, yeah, they would be right to fear for their lives if they were to press the issue in terms of what has happened to Miss Shirley, what really took place, to, you know, conduct an investigation. Dare I say, they didn't even, you know, do an autopsy. You know, everything happened so quickly. They closed the door so quickly. You know, case closed type of situation. No foul play. Bullshit. But like Miss Shirley was saying, you know, why is it that when we try to help our people, it's a problem? Okay. So, yeah. So now, you guys, now that I've gotten the channel message part of Miss Shirley's reading done, I want to focus on the tarot part of the reading. And I asked a specific question of who was involved in Miss Shirley's death and her cover-up. Okay. And I pre-pulled some cards, you guys, because I didn't want to waste too much time, because I knew this was going to be long, but I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't know that I was going to have to break it down into 2 parts. Okay. But in answering the question, who was involved in Miss Shirley's death, okay, Spirit wanted me to kind of split the energies in terms of, you know, people that Miss Shirley knew in terms of acquaintance, people around her, associates, family members, exes, people that knew her and that she knew them. That's one aspect of it. But then also people on the outside, you know, people that had a vested interest in neutralizing her. But we're going to tap into the qualities and characteristics of these people who were involved in Miss Shirley's death. So, no particular order, you guys. We have the card reflection, We have the card Ghost in Reverse. Ghost in Reverse. Next card we have, you guys, is Hunger in Reverse. Hunger in Reverse. Next card we have is the Seven of Pentacles in Reverse. The Seven of Pentacles in Reverse. Next card we have is the Fool. The Fool. And then last but not least, the card that we have here is the Three of Wands in Reverse. The Three of Wands in Reverse, okay? I also have some clarifiers, which I may or may not use. We'll just see how this goes, okay? All right, so as far as, you know, who was involved in Miss Shirley's death, okay? Who knew about it? Who participated in it? Who participated in the carrying out of it? The carrying out of her untimely demise, the carrying out of her drugging, the carrying out of this shroud of secrecy, the carrying out of the cover-up. Those that she knew type of energy, and those that she did not know. Now, let's focus on the energy in terms of, you know, the people that she knew personally, that may have very well been around her, up close and personal to her, or people that she had known but removed from her life for whatever reason, but they were still people that she knew. Three main energies here: reflection, ghost, and hunger. Now, very interesting, because with the reflection card, it's like Spirit is having me to look at this card like it almost looks like a stethoscope. So perhaps this person that is involved in some way, shape, or form with Miss Shirley's untimely death, this was someone that was in the medical industry. This could be a doctor or a nurse or someone who has access to Miss Shirley's medical records. Someone that knew enough about Miss Shirley to know about, you know, her strengths and weaknesses as far as her health is concerned, okay? Also, Spirit has me looking at this particular card here. It almost looks like a traffic light, you know, instead of it being 3, though, it's 2. And so to me, that's signaling, you guys, that there is someone that could have been in some type of role of authority, like a police officer, like even security, or people that, you know, they're responsible for mandating, issuing out laws and making sure that laws and policies are followed, okay? Someone that Miss Shirley may have known. Maybe someone in her family. Oh, come through, Spirit. Isn't her father an LAPD officer? So she have people that she knew that was in the precinct, people that are part of the, you know, the police organization, the boys in blue type of organization, which leads me to believe here, someone that Miss Shirley knew. It could have been a friend of the family, an associate of the family there that was in the police force. They played a role, y'all. Come through, Spirit, for that download. Also, as I look at the reflection here, reflection meaning someone that they hold your reflection, or they look like you, they resemble you, or they try to, they're mirroring you, they want to be like you. So this is someone that was around Miss Shirley, someone that she knew that, you know, this could have been someone that favored her, someone that looked like her. So this could be a family member, okay? Yeah, this could also be, you know, maybe perhaps a friend or someone that, you know, they looked up to Miss Shirley and they wanted to, in a lot of ways, be like her, but perhaps there was some type of envy there. So it's kind of like, you know, I look up to you, I mirror you, I'm trying to do what you do, I want to do what you do, but I also want to take your place. And in order to do that, you know, it would be better if you weren't here, because you're competition. And as long as you're in the room, ain't nobody going to see me. They going to see you because you outshine me. Come through, Spirit. It's giving that. Also, dear one, who could be responsible? Who could be involved in Miss Shirley's death and cover-up? Someone that Miss Shirley ghosted, someone that she got rid of, maybe stopped dating, maybe separated from, maybe stopped talking to, no longer was friends with, something of that sort, where she once knew a person and then she made an active choice to remove this person from her life. But whoever this person was, they took it hard. They took the separation hard. They didn't want to let bygones be bygones. They didn't want to just walk away. You know, it was like some type of grudge that was held, where despite the fact that they were no longer in the picture, they were still lingering. You know, not seen, not heard, but they were still there, you know, back in the cut. It's giving that, okay? Also, dear one, I picked up on the energy with the hunger card. This is someone, you know, whoever was responsible, whoever was involved in Miss Shirley's death and cover up in some way, shape, or form, to whatever degree, whether it's minor or major, okay? It's the energy of someone feeling like, this is someone, dear one, that was, you know, Miss Shirley knew they were either in her inner circle, but they still had this type of distant energy, distant feeling, where it's kind of like, yeah, you here, I know you here, but, you know, as far as there being a bond, a connection, we don't have that. But, you know, you're still in the circle, but just kind of like you're in the circle by default. Is giving that. And it's also giving that this is this type of person where they have this this secret type of hunger, this type of, you know, I want to get something from you, this sense, this energy of you owe me something. You owe me something and I want it. You owe me something and I'm going to get it one way or the other. It's giving that, you know. Is giving a sense of entitlement, an entitlement of, you know, being in a circle, but wanting to be close up in the circle, being in a circle, but, you know, not really earning the fact that you're in a circle, just being there based on who you are, based on your association, and based on the fact that you feel entitled in some way, shape, or form, that you're owed something by Miss Shirley. Is giving that, okay? And even as I look at the colors here, the color yellow representing the solar plexus chakra, okay, which is, you know, the will, your power center, knowing where you end and where others begin. This was someone, dear one, that felt as though, you know, they didn't have any type of identity outside of Miss Shirley. They were very much so codependent on her in some way, shape, or form, or codependent on what she was building, and felt very entitled to that. Why them and why not me? So again, it's giving this neediness, this type of I deserve this, I deserve more, I deserve to be a part of what you got going on. I don't have to work for it because, you know, I'm just supposed to get it. It's giving that type of energy. Also, someone that was around Miss Shirley that was really, really watching her, really presenting themselves to be a close person that could be trusted. But I'm hearing like two-faced. I'm hearing like, you know, they wore a mask. This could be a person that, you know, they wore glasses at night, or they always had on glasses because they was hiding what was behind their eyes. They was hiding what was really going on with their intentions, with their motive, with their agenda. So this was someone that was around Miss Shirley that, you know, they had two faces. They had this posture of being a confidant, a friend, a supporter, an ally, but they were really like a double agent. They were really, you know, reflecting what she wanted them, what Miss Shirley wanted to see in them. She wanted to see a friend in them. She wanted to see an ally, a supporter in them, or perhaps she wanted to see a lover in them. And part of their face, their mask, they showed that. But, you know, they also had another part that they were hiding that Miss Shirley couldn't see. So it's giving like double agent type of energy here. Like, you know me, but do you really know me? Okay, this person reflected what Miss Shirley wanted and needed them to be, and she didn't really see beyond the mask of what they were showing her. Is giving that, okay? this could be a lot of people that were around Miss Shirley. Now, for those of you guys who really, really knew her on a personal level, you'll be able to decode and break down based on your facts, based on what you know, outside of what I know, of who these people could potentially be. Okay? And then also, as it relates to, who was involved in, Miss Shirley's death and cover up in terms of people that perhaps she didn't know, outside of acquaintances, outside of so-called friends, outside of so-called lovers or exes or even family members, outside all of that. Who are these people that played a role? I'm hearing from Spirit, one energy that I'm picking up from Spirit is someone that was at a distance, but someone that still felt as though they had some ties to Miss Shirley in some way, shape, or form, that they still had access to her, even if from a distance, that they could get some way and up close and personal to her, that in other words, they could still get to her without her suspecting. Okay, it is giving someone that again was keeping tabs on her, but it was very, very discreet. Okay, someone that she wouldn't suspect. Okay, someone that she really wouldn't even know that they had this type of agenda towards Miss Shirley. Okay, but it's giving someone that's on the outside looking in, someone that was perhaps from a distance, but just close enough to keep tabs on her, close enough to make moves in terms of the trajectory that her life would take, even if they weren't up close and personal in her face. Okay, it's giving that. Also, dear one, this could be someone where this person felt as though, they could do whatever they wanted to do and get away with it because they had some type of authority, that they had some type of backing. I'm also hearing because that they had some type of alibi, that no one would be able to put two and two together and figure out that there was this particular person or this particular energy that has something to do with, the involvement in Miss Shirley's death and cover up. Okay. Also, someone, dear one, that was heavily watching and monitoring Miss Shirley, and someone that was really puzzled by the fact that she was able to do so much with so little. This was someone that was definitely pocket watching. I'm also hearing from Spirit, this is also some person or people that was in the limelight in some way, shape, or form, and they wanted to attach their name or latch on to what she had going on for clout, for popularity, to latch on to her legacy and what she was doing. They also wanted to bring her in. They wanted to bring her into some type of organization, some type of sisterhood. And Miss Shirley wasn't about that. She, for the most part, I'm picking up on the energy that she was a very, she was out, in the street doing her thing, her purpose, but she was very much so a quiet, laid back type of person. Once she was out there doing her purpose work, she wanted to come home and chill. She wasn't trying to go to the parties. Okay. She wasn't trying to be seen. She wasn't trying to pop out and, have all of the glitz and glamour, the lights, the camera, the action, because she didn't want to make her mission and her purpose work about status or about clout. So it's giving that there were people around her that were in the spotlight in some way, shape, or form. Those that were, able to get a little bit close up and close to her, to try to latch onto her, to try to bring her in. It's kind of like, well, since you want to do something that really you should not be in, you really need to be godfathered in. You really need to get our permission to do that. It's giving, they were like, well, if you want to do this, you need a handler. If you want to do this, you need to be part of our team, or you can no longer do this thing. You can no longer do this work that you're doing here because, you need access. You need the green light. You need to go through us or one of us that is the gatekeeper. You just can't be out here all willy-nilly doing this on your own. Who do you think you are? It's giving that it's this type of person, this type of energy that in some way, shape, or form, dear one, was responsible and involved in Miss Shirley's death and or her cover-up. Okay, someone that was also heavily pocket watching her and trying to figure out her finances, what type of funding, what type of finances that she was getting, where she was able to give back to the homeless community. Where are you getting all of this from? Where are you getting all these donations? Who are you dealing with? You know, who is trusting and believing you with their money and with their resources? Who is galvanizing with you? Is giving someone that was closely watching on the financial aspect and even on the legal aspect of her organization, what she was doing and who she was doing it with. So again, like, you know, people that parts of the government that deal with nonprofit organizations and things of that nature, and they're heavily watching, you know, the books, you know, the funds, where it's going, this and that, you know, making sure that, you know, there's no mismanagement of funds going on. Now, you say you're getting these donations and this and that, and are you a 50 some type of 501c3? Are you tax-free nonprofit? What you doing? Well, we gonna watch the books. How much of this is really going to the community that you call yourself serving, and how much of this is going in your pocket, bitch? We watching you. Is giving that. Okay. It's also giving the energy of someone that felt, dear one, that they were untouchable. I keep getting this energy. Someone that felt as though they could do whatever they wanted to do without any consequences, because they have the backing, they have the support. They're in part of a network where they can do whatever they want to do, and nobody's going to challenge them. Nobody's going to, I'm hearing, put them on the stand. Nobody's going to put them on the stand to have to speak and take accountability for what they have done. It's giving that type of energy. So it was a combination, dear one, of individuals, of people, of groups, of both which Miss Shirley knew and was familiar with, either in her life currently at that time, or, you know, in her life, in a past part of her life, or people that knew her like through her family connections and family associations. And it's also giving outside energies, like higher up energies, like governments, like heads of people, heads of nonprofit organizations, and people that have a different type of agenda, people that are really watching the books and watching and following the funding, following where the money goes. And someone, an ex, I keep hearing ex, someone that was from a distance, not someone that was in the same necessarily city or town as Miss Shirley, but someone that was watching her from a distance, but still had pull and connections, or could make calls, or could be reached and could do things, and make moves, but while at a distance. Is giving that, okay? All of these type of energies, dear one, I'm hearing from spirit in some way, shape, or form. Is some of the energy, some of the people, the traits and characteristics of some of the people who were involved in Miss Shirley's death and in her cover-up in some way, shape, or form, okay? People that were envious. People that were pocket watching. People that had this energy of, you know, who do you think you are? You just a black bitch. Who do you think you are? It's the strong type of offense. People that felt offended by what Miss Shirley was doing, and she was just minding her business, trying to love people and be loved in return. Yeah, but to these people, she committed the ultimate cardinal sin of stepping out of your box that we created for you, or stepping out of your lane, and then, you know, in a lot of ways, rejecting our offer for you to get involved in, you know, our association, our dealings, you know, our corruption. You know, you can't do that without us telling you that you can. You can't help them without our permission. You can't do that on your own because, listen here now, you're getting a little bit too close to what does not concern you. You got to be a fool. We need to reel you back in. It's giving that type of energy, dear one. Okay. I'm going to pull just a few more cards, just a few more, and then I'm going to turn it loose, you guys, because again, this energy is so heavy, and it's just really heartbreaking. And this is also this is kind of like a warning. Miss Shirley's untimely death, her demise is kind of like a warning to all of those of us who dare to try to help people, to serve people. You know, it's really you stepping on uncharted territory, and you really stirring up the hornet's nest when you just call yourself wanting to step in and to be a light worker and to do the will of, the will of the Most High, to help and serve people. You really put yourself at risk. You make yourself a target. You end up getting yourself put on the hit list, on the watch list, all because you trying to love and you trying to serve. It just makes you think. It's a very heavy type of energy. Okay. This was in reverse, you guys, but I'm going to turn it over so you guys can see it, okay? It says fake flexing. It's in reverse, okay? So, dear one, someone that perhaps was involved in Miss Shirley's death and cover up in some way, shape, or form. This is someone, dear one, who on the low was fake flexing, okay? So perhaps someone that was pretending to be her friend when they really weren't, okay? Or someone that was pretending to have, more than what they had, or more, pretending to be more invested, pretending to be more of an ally and more of a supporter to Miss Shirley than they really were, and they were really fake flexing, but very much so on the low. In other words, maybe perhaps in Miss Shirley's face they pretended to be one thing, but then behind her back, behind the scenes, they was all something else. They could have been like a mole just trying to get information off of her, or what she was doing and what she had going on at the time. They looked at it as a publicity stunt for them. They looked at it as an opportunity for them to get some clout, when Miss Shirley was all about, I'm helping the people. I don't give a damn about lights, camera, and action. So this suggests this was someone around her, dear one, that either played a part in her death or her cover up. This was a person that on the low, they was really a fake flexer, but they presented themselves in public or out in the open, and certainly to Miss Shirley, they presented themselves to be someone where they could put their money where their mouth was, someone where, they in it just, for the love of the game. They in it to help, they in it to serve, instead of being in it to win it, instead of being in it to get something out of themselves. So this speaks of it could be like some type of public figure or some type of celebrity that just saw the opportunity of what Miss Shirley was doing to latch on and make themselves a part of her organization, a part of her brand. This is someone that in some way, shape, or form, they are involved in Miss Shirley's death and or her cover up. Y'all would know these people more than me, those who are close to her. Okay? I'm going to pull one more card. And then I'm going to turn it loose because I got to get out of this energy, you guys, because it's so heavy. Then the next card we have, you guys, is all things new. Well, let me turn it so you can see it. All things new, okay? It's in reverse. So this was someone, dear one, that, excuse me. This is someone, dear one, that, they resented the fact that Miss Shirley was doing something different with her life and that she had moved on. And again, that she was turning her pain into purpose. This was someone that deeply, was resentful of that. Okay. They didn't want her to be a different version of herself. They didn't want her to be the best version of herself. They wanted her to be the same, depressed, lost, hurt, person that felt alienated and isolated, the person that always considered and felt like she was a black sheep, they wanted her to go back to that. You know, the woe is me, I need help type of person, not the type of person where they're going to turn their pain into purpose and help other people and use their life and their trauma as a testimony to fuel them, to help other people. This was someone that deeply was offended and deeply resentful of the fact that in a lot of ways, Miss Shirley had turned over a new leaf, even though she was the hardest critic on herself. She always felt that what she was doing wasn't good enough, that she could do more. But to people outside of Miss Shirley, they saw her as a hero. They saw her as, you know, being more of a mother and more of a sister and friend to them than their own goddamn mother, sister, or friend. Come through, spirit. But someone around her that looked upon her and hated the fact that she had changed, this could be a maternal figure, y'all. Also, Spirit says someone that could stand to gain from her demise. Stand to gain financially. So we really, really need to look again at, you know, we know that there had to have been a life insurance policy out on Miss Shirley, but we don't know who had one out on her. But I'm hearing follow the crumbs, because if you follow who had an insurance policy out on her, then it'll become clear who stand to gain from her untimely death and also from the cover-up, therefore who played a part in it. Now, it would have to be someone that really didn't give a damn about you in the first place, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal to lose you, because, you know, to this person, you know, they didn't really invest that much love and energy and attention to you in the first place. And then how dare you decide that, you know, you're going to switch up your game and you're going to try to be something different. You're going to try to change the trajectory and the narrative of your life. It's giving that. I'm going to leave it right there, y'all. Because, you know, I could go on, and, you know, I'm going to turn it loose. I'm going to turn it loose, okay? Let me give you guys some signs, though, okay? I'm going to give you guys some signs, and then I'm going to head on out, okay, and clear my energy. And I hope that in some way, shape, or form that there will be some type of justice. If it's not justice in the land, it will be justice and judgment conducted by spirit and the spiritual laws and the spirit realm that will bring judgment and justice to the people that are responsible for Miss Shirley's death and her cover-up, and that it will also in some small way bring some level of closure and healing. Something more has to come out, something more has to be done. And I declare and decree that it be so, and in a way where no more harm, no more threat comes to those that love Miss Shirley. No more harm, no more threat comes to those from the community from which she served. And that if her legacy can't live on publicly in a way that it is government sanctioned and operated, that it can live on through the hearts, the souls, and the spirits of the people that she touched and those that she loved, and particularly to the homeless community that she served. Ashe. Okay, so for those of you guys where this reading resonated to the point where you can kind of identify some of these people based on their traits and things of that nature, and you ain't got to say it out loud and you ain't got to raise your hand, okay? But I'm gonna give you guys some signs, okay? These people could very well be a Pisces, Aries, Leo, Libra, Taurus, Capricorn, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Come through, spirit. And I'm also hearing Leo moon, Libra rising, and Libra moon, Scorpio moon, Cancer rising and Cancer moon, Aries rising, Gemini moon. Thank you, spirit. And I also heard Capricorn moon. Thank you, spirit. And the numbers 3, 7, 1, and 10 came through. And that could be someone's birth month, birth date, or this could be a life path number. Thank you, Spirit. It could also be someone's number in their email address, residential address, phone number, social security number, or social media avatar. Okay, those numbers will mean something to somebody in your own special way, and you know who you are. Okay, all right, so that's that, dear one. That's the reading. I'm gonna close it out. Okay, and until next time, you guys, I don't know where I'm gonna put this reading now, because it's still so fresh and it's still so heavy, and YouTube, I don't know, they may not welcome this type of reading. I might have to put it on my blog site, but I'm gonna meditate on it, okay? And wherever I put it, I'm gonna let you guys know so you can come and check it out, okay? But until next time, you guys, stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay great. Peace.